Greetings everyone, I'm Mort. Welcome to my channel, Mort's Garage. I'm here to talk to you about my weekend of game hunting. Back at it. I'm not really looking for anything too specific. I'm always surprised at what I find. Good news for me is I am not alone today. I am with my buddy, Izzy. What's up, brother? What's up? Long time no see. Izzy is a longtime collector, someone who I met just buying stuff and trading and selling locally, and we've just struck up a friendship.
I don't know what to say.
You don't know what to say?
No.
He's so charming. I'm excited for him to come along and, see if we can find some good stuff today, which we will. You'll see. Just be patient. As always, I think I gotta get there first thing, and as I do, nothing is set up yet. Nothing's out. I see a Rock Band guitar, which seems kind of cool. Morning.
Morning.
So games do start slowly trickling out, and as we're wandering around, we find this booth that has all this Rugrats stuff out at it. A lot of it's licensed materials, but some of it is it's like a Rugrats fan who actually used like a clay sculpture of some Rugrats items. What do you got?
PS3 controller.
Let me see that. Izzy finds the very first thing of the morning for us. It's a blue wireless PS3 controller, a DualShock 3 controller in clean shape. $10. Nice score. At the same booth, there is a copy of the game Watch Dogs on PS4. I always open up sort of random games because you never know if the correct disc is inside of it. It's a copy of Minecraft on the PS4. Now, these trade in really well at GameStop, and they resell pretty quickly for me online as well. How much for this?
$5.
It has 2 games in it.
Oh, look?
Yeah. Take a look.
How about $7 for the two?
$7?
Mm-hmm.
I really just want
Oh, do you?
this one.
This one?
Yeah. You do $2 just for the disc?
Alright, give me 2.
There are so many collectibles out there that cross so many genres and so many different hobbies. So I see lots of collectible things at the swap meet, but usually it's not stuff I have much of a knowledge base in. But it's cool to see. There was comic books everywhere at the swap meet. There were Ninja Turtles toys that were like the original sort of ones from the 90s, like when I grew up playing Ninja Turtles as a kid. A lot of the stuff that was out there, I just don't have a knowledge base to know if it's a good deal or not. And so I usually pass on it, and hopefully you find a good deal on something you're looking for. As we're walking around, we come across this special edition copy of the game Overwatch for the Xbox One. The outer case was a little bit damaged, not in perfect shape, and so we opened it up, looked through, and decided to see if it was worth our time. It's not in the best shape. The vendor wanted $60 for this game. I'm gonna offer $40. Goes for about $80 to $100 on online, but when you factor in shipping and then storing it,
who buys these?
I'm not a big enough Overwatch fan to feel like I need to have that in my collection. Still cool to see out there at the swap meet though. How much is this?
120.
N64 stuff is going through the roof in prices. Games that you could barely get rid of for $5 yesterday are going for $20 and $25 today. Case in point, Space Invaders on the N64. This vendor had a loose cartridge copy at his booth for $20. Now, if you haven't played Space Invaders on the N64, you have played Space Invaders on the N64 because it's the exact same game it's always ever been since it graced the arcades in the 1980s. Space Invaders was just a very simple formula shooter that was very fun for its time, and each successive console generation has a version that goes, for each console that emphasizes new graphics or this one I think has boss fights in it on the N64. It's not a bad game, it's just you've played it before. What you got?
What would you say about that condition?
That's disc rot. Really? Yeah. We're digging through a bunch of Xbox 360 games, and I noticed that in this copy of Minecraft for the Xbox 360, on the bottom layer of the disc, there's what appears to be like a coffee stain. And you'll see that when you're out there looking for video games. This coffee stain sort of look is usually indicative of disc rot. The physical copies of all of our discs and all of our cartridges are in a present state of deterioration and will one day be unusable.
You're nothing to me now. I don't want to know you or what you do.
We don't know how long disc rot will take. It could be 50 years before the game is unplayable. On the other hand, I do know that people have had copies of their Blu-rays that they bought in the 2010s that no longer work because of disc rot. None of this stuff is going to be around forever. I mean, nor you or I. One way to detect disc rot is not only this coffee stain thing on the bottom, but if you hold the disc up to light, usually you can see a couple of little sort of pinhole type sort of pricks through the middle of the disc and parts of the discs. For some of us, disc rot will be on a disc, but it won't really affect anything. It just could be that there's a sound effect in one part of a level that's not working anymore, or it may rot on a part that's actually not affecting the data. It also might mean that a whole level is unplayable. Just be aware that it is a reality of collecting retro video games. Alright, enough doom and gloom. Let's go back to getting those games that are in that constant state of deterioration. We find this booth that there's a box of games in front of the seller and a console, and they look like they're Xbox 360 games and even an Xbox One game. I'm digging through everything, and I kind of almost like jump in front of Izzy to get to him.
I could get here faster than me.
Skills. Now, of course, if he wants something really bad for his collection or whatever, I'm gonna give it to him. But
I'm going through a selfish phase right now.
The first game that I find is Metal Gear Solid: The HD Collection for the Xbox 360. This copy of the game, just so you're aware, it comes with a really thick manual and also 2 discs. So if you ever find this game out there and there's only 1 disc, be careful. Next one I'm going to highlight is Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts and Viva Pinata. This copy of the game was a pack-in with the systems. It comes with both discs as well, and separate copies of the manuals. Not in a super desirable game. Nuts and Bolts was just such a disappointment because I wanted to play a Banjo-Kazooie 3D platformer, and they kind of gave us this Lego-inspired car-building weird game. It just sort of the whole time made me want to go, man, I want to play Banjo-Kazooie on the N64. I want to play the 3D platforming adventures of the Bear and Bird. Viva Pinata, on the other hand, is a cool game, but it just never really grabbed my attention in a really big way. This Green Day rock band copy of the game is actually going for quite a bit. Now, I grew up when it was cool to hate on Green Day because they were the popular punk band, them and the Offspring, and I was into like hardcore music like Snapcase and Unashamed and all of these kinds of bands, and it was very cool to just think Green Day sucks, you know. I had that even written on my jacket at one point. I've come to love this band for who they are as artists and what they put out there. This copy of the game was sitting out there for the taking, and it's a pretty hard to find game, but it's a great one, especially for Green Day fans that have that rock band set.
Okay, so we got Green Day rock band. The rock band stuff in general is going up. Metal Gear HD collection, this is kind of coming up again. And this double pack is pretty cool in general. So huge Banjo-Kazooie fan. Let's see what we got.
And then something happened. Izzy says to me, "Don't follow me. Just stay right there." Now, I was at this vendor earlier in the morning before Izzy had arrived, and I had looked through their DVD stuff, just a quick overview, and I didn't see this. But he grabs this game out of the pile of DVDs, and he walks over to the vendor, and I can see what it is, and it's also a copy of Metal Gear Solid. But it's a copy of Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes for the Nintendo GameCube.
Dude, both discs?
They're clean.
Izzy takes the game over to the seller and says, "How much?"
What'd you just pay for that?
$5.
Say that so we can hear you.
$5.
$5.
Well done.
I'm very upset because I feel like I got snaked. Oh! Did I win? Okay. All right. Oh, wow. Incredible. Thank you so much. I gotta say, I feel like I'm a farmer. Outstanding in his field. Classic dad joke right there for you. Way to go, Mort. Fantastic, Mort. Hey guys, what are you watching? Mort just won an award. Yes! No way. If I had an excitement meter, off the charts. He's worked so hard for this. I should only take a few moments here, though. You guys seeing this? It's amazing, right? Gosh, so many people are here. Is that Tom Hanks? What's up, T-Dog? Oh, man, incredible. Anyway, T-Dog! You know, always wanted to say that publicly, and now I have. Is America's Dad doing the face? Careful that America's Dad doesn't get embarrassed of you, Mort. Speaking of which, I remember being 7 years old. The speech is starting to test my patience. You're an inspiration, Mort. Is Mort almost done with his speech yet? My beautiful children who, aren't embarrassed of me quite yet, but should the day come, I completely understand. You're overstaying your welcome, Mort. Wrap it up, Mort. We don't want America's Dad to abandon us, Mort. People might have to go potty. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. I've had a blast being here, and, okay, I'll go this way. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care. Man, I can't believe it. That was... Nintendo, Konami, let's figure this out. Bring us an HD remaster of this awesome game for the Nintendo Switch. So, real talk, are you going to play that? Or are you going to,
I'm gonna keep it.
You're going to keep it?
Yes.
That's the best way to play the original Metal Gear Solid. I love that you're like, don't look. You're like, don't look at me. Nice grab, man. I'm glad you got it. We come across this box of games. It's a bunch of PC games. I know that, the older the better because of DRM and all of the keys and stuff that go inside of the games. And also the big box games I know can be highly desired amongst PC collectors. Nothing in here stood out like that to me. And this was a momentous occasion, ladies and gentlemen, because I found the first cheap PS5 game out in the wild, and Izzy grabbed it. I think it's the first time I've seen a PS5 out at the swap meet. Yeah. A PS5 game out at the swap meet. Now I find a reseller whom I've bought lots of stuff from in the past. Let's see what she's got today. First thing is this copy of Micro Machines on the NES. This label is so different than regular NES labels that I almost wondered if it was reproduction, but based on the make of the cartridge and these stickers with addresses on them, I'm gonna just say this is authentic. Micro Machines is a Camerica game. It is an unlicensed game. It plays exactly like the N64 version of Micro Machines and even the Xbox One version of Micro Machines and PS4 version for that matter, where it's an overhead perspective. It's a very sort of fast-paced game where you're driving around, a kitchen table or the living room. This was actually probably of all of the unlicensed games, one that was ranked quite highly and quite fun. IGN even put it as number 31 in their favorite NES games out of 100, which is great. It is by Codemasters, who've gone on to do a lot of racing games, and this is a pretty tough one to find these days. $15, awesome deal on this game. I'm also finding that Guitar Hero on the Wii is still going for quite a bit with this kind of resurgence in Guitar Hero and Rock Band games. $8, no problem. I've been finding a lot of GameCube out there lately, which for a while GameCube was just as scarce as can be or just way overpriced. Not so here. 4 GameCube games I'm going to talk about real quick. NHL Hits Pro. This took the NFL Blitz format or NBA Jam format and applied it to hockey. It almost feels like a slightly spiritual successor to the Wayne Gretzky N64 hockey games, but it has a slightly more simulation element to it that's designated by the Pro symbol. It is still a high, fast-paced, fun hockey game, very much worth giving a playthrough on, just because I love these fast-paced, fun sports games. Similarly is MLB Slugfest 2004. Just like with NHL Hits and NFL Blitz, this is a Midway published game. I miss the Midway of the 90s and the early 2000s, the same company who brought us classics like NFL Blitz, and they published all of these games, and San Francisco Rush, amongst many others. Such a great sort of classic company.
Hear that one, old school.
NFL Blitz 2002. This is one of the last sort of traditional NFL Blitz games. During the N64, Dreamcast, PS1 sort of time frame, a lot of the NFL Blitz games would come out every year, and they just didn't feel that different from one another. For better and for worse. If you love NFL Blitz, this is a great version of it to get. Same with 2003. It's not much different than the other versions before it. There's slight tweaks and differences to the formula. But for a multiplayer game, it's so hard to beat the fun of 4-player NFL Blitz, or 2-player NFL Blitz for that matter. And this one's not sports, but it's one character that I've never been able to love, but I know many others do. That's a SpongeBob SquarePants movie video game. I like SpongeBob in theory, but he hit at a time where just the style of humor just didn't resonate with me the way that it did for other people. If you love him, I think that's wonderful. I just don't.
Got a pretty decent lot for $60. Mm-hmm. That Micro Machines game, the label looks like it's a reproduction, but the cart looks original. So, but it looks like it's going for $35-40 at least. Some stuff. And those GameCube games are in good shape. You don't see those very much in good shape. But you got Metal Gear.
Yes, I do.
You really have the find of the morning. Well done.
As we're walking through another aisle, I see on sort of this edge of the booth a pink Nintendo DS Lite. These always sell for me within 24 or 48 hours.
How much? $10?
Unfortunately, it did not end up working when I came home and tested it. And you can see there, it's just sort of washed out and there's really no definition or anything on the top of the screen. Only paid $10, so I'm hoping I can sell it and get my money back and sell it to someone for parts.
I could trade it with you for a Metal Gear if you want to do that.
Who buys these?
Go to another booth and this vendor has a bunch of Nintendo Switch games, but he's selling them really like right at retail prices. Look, at the swap meet, I'm never going to pay retail on current released items because I don't know, return policy wise, I can take something back to a store if it's broken or if there's an issue. So I'm always going to expect at least a little below retail. I was tempted by these Star Wars remasters, but truthfully, the things that I've read online are that if you want to play Republic Commando, the version of it that is on Xbox, particularly the Xbox Series X, if you play the original Xbox version, it downloads a 4K version of it, and apparently that one's even better than the remastered version of it, or it's close enough that I'm not really willing to pay $30 to find out how big of a difference it is. I was also curious about the Pod Racer remasters, but I have a Dreamcast, and I've hooked this up with an HDMI cable. Pod Racer looks amazing that way. I also don't really need to go find out what it's like on the Switch. I'll buy these probably one day if I can find them for $5 or $10, but in general, I'm going to leave these Switch games behind for somebody else. I'm excited to find this big, beautiful copy of The Chronicles of Narnia and start reading it to my kids. Each chapter, particularly in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, is only like 2 or 3 pages long, and I lost my big copy of this, and so found one for $3. Very happy. And the last thing that I see at the swap meet is this yellow cartridge that's shaped like a Nintendo 64 cartridge, and the blue cartridge that looks like an original Game Boy cartridge. From a distance, I'm thinking, oh, this could be interesting. Walk up to it, and I look at the cartridges, and they are definitely reproductions. Now, you can usually tell, even if the label is a really good copy, the feel of the cartridge is often very different. This one, the indentations on the back felt totally different from other N64 games, and it felt lighter. The weight of repros is usually a lot lighter and more cheap feeling than the original Nintendo 64 or other cartridge-based games that you're used to. The Pokemon label was clearly a fake. So, passed on those, and I hope you didn't buy them, or if you did, you got them for like $5. So that was it for the day. Love getting to see Izzy, love getting to spend time with him. I hope to have him on more episodes of Mort's Garage, such a good dude. Check him out on Instagram. IzzyFinds71 is his handle, and he's always posting up his stuff there that he's finding and selling, and he's just a great guy to do business with and to connect with. He always gives very fair prices. You gotta give him a shout and say hello to him over on Instagram. And you know what? I'm going back the next day. What's up, dude?
What up, man?
You're looking beautiful today.
No, that's you.